Each year we set out to take a look at our favorite board games of all the freaking time.
All history, universe, multiverse, everything.
We're gonna present 10 of our favorite games of all time and then tell you about some
Trash on some.
on his games, for example. Before we started to record this video, we set out with a list of games and then compared each game with another game and then picked which one do we like better.
Yeah, and then again, and then again, and then again, and then again. Skip forward a couple of hours. Now we have our top 10 list.
So let's start with the 10th one, right?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Slay the Spire.
Combat Commander.
What's up with that?
Nothing. It's just how I write combat. There was no another M. Why would you imply there was an M in there? Silly.
Slay the Spire is my most addictive game of the year. It's a cooperative game where you are in. Have you ever had a dream?
I didn't expect that. Go ahead.
Slay the Spire is a cooperative game where you are set out to defeat monsters and bad guys and a really big bad guy at the end.
And if you lose, it's not the end. Because you get to do what?
You get to improve your character's potential cards, and then you can go again. So the more you lose, the better you're off. You play these unique characters that have these unique cards, which you can use to build your own deck. It's super addictive. It's the most addictive deck builder that I've ever played. I love it. It's in my 10th place.
Mine's Combat Commander. It's a 2-player wargame where you have a map, you have your own troops, and you're trying to accomplish your goal, either controlling a certain hex or destroying certain troops or just getting somewhere. So one player takes the role of Germans and the other player takes the role of Russians or the US. In the Second World War. Should have mentioned that it's Second World War. Kind of important thing. And the main driving mechanism of the game is a deck of cards. Each side has their own deck of cards. Those cards are actions you can play. Those cards are events that can happen. Those cards will tell you a certain die roll when you open a card. And you need to know a hex, flip over a card. It's such an elegant design.
And the thing you always mention is that it's the most thematic war game?
It is the most thematic and cinematic war game that I've played.
3, 2, 1. Oathsworn.
Eclipse Second Dawn.
Oathsworn is a story game, a campaign game, meaning you will have multiple sessions, up to like 20-ish sessions with the same people. So hopefully you like your friends. And this game has 2 parts. The story part where you will listen to lovely voiceover and make some choices.
When you say lovely voiceover, you go into this tavern and have a cup of tea while listening to the grandma knitting in the corner and telling stories of their grandchildren that were devoured by the monster that you need to kill.
Wouldn't you listen to that lovely voiceover?
It's very lovely.
And make some choices that will then bring you to a fight. You always will end up in fight, it just depends how equipped you will be. And each fight will be against one monster, one creature that's completely unique for each chapter. That will have unique mechanisms.
It was in my top 20.
Top 20?
Remember? Yeah, we did that video from 11 to 20. Yeah.
That our supporters already have seen. Because each month we upload a video just for our supporters, and now all of our supporters already know from 20th to 11th place the best board games of all time.
And if you also want to see that video, check out the description on how to support the channel and see that video actually.
Do it now. So what's Eclipse all about?
Why do I erase them before I even talk about them? It's about space. So this is an economic game where you gather resources, build stuff, and then throw a bunch of dice when you're fighting each other. Each player gets their own alien race. You're gonna be controlling different sectors, building buildings on them, trying to protect them because they score points. Different things score points. Technology scores points, combat scores points, something else scores points, I don't even remember. There's a ton of things that score points. But it is an economical game, yet you build these crazy ships.
You can customize them, and when you go to fights, then you really can see what you've done with the ships and what dice you will throw and use. And yeah, those builds are very important, and I think that the most fascinating and interesting thing about those games. In the supporters video, you mentioned that we will match 6 times on this list, on 1 to 10. And I said,
did I?
Yeah, you did.
Whoops.
3, 2, 1, Unimperium.
Why? It has it fallen so bad?
Yeah, Dune Imperium is a great game set on the Dune universe that at this point, I think if you haven't lived in a cave, you already know about the movies, books and everything around it. But this is a competitive game, a juicy one at that, because there's a lot of conflict. The game is that you're playing one character from the world of Dune and try to take control of the spice. And you can do that by playing cards, going to different spots. It's a worker placement, taking your workers and placing things and getting back strength, resources.
Like you said, two unique parts is it really nicely combines deck building with worker placement. And it is very interactive. It's like you will mess each other as much as possible. Android Netrunner is an asymmetric two-player game where one player plays a hacker trying to break into the servers of the other player who's playing a corporation, trying to fulfill the agendas before they're stolen. It's very thematic, the choices matter, how very different those sides play, you have to experience it to understand. There used to be a big competitive scene here where we live a while ago. It has died out sadly, so I don't get to play it as much as I'd like to, but each time I get those two games shown to me, which one I would pick, I'd play Netrunner in a blink of an eye.
3, 2, 1, Wonderland's War.
Star Wars Unlimited.
Wow, that's high.
I guess I really liked it. This is another two-player collectible card game where we play two sides, not necessarily symmetric, we have the same rules, just our leader and our base might be different, and obviously the deck build, but it's not as asymmetric as Netrunner I mentioned previously, and our goal is to destroy the other player's base in this game. And you will play troopers, you will play different kind of spaceships, attack the base, attack each other, use the special powers of your leader. It's really thematic, well, quite thematic, as thematic as a simple card game can get. But I like the choices in this game where you can play your cards as resources. And it's like, okay, so which card do I eliminate from the game essentially as a resource?
For me, it's Wonderland's War, one of my favorite games for a while now. It's a really lovely game where you all sit and have a tea party. And this tea party lets you upgrade your chips in a bag and maybe give you other abilities so you get stronger. And after the nice little tea party, you fight. The fighting is really simple. You pull out chips from a bag and each of those chips will have some powers, like adding strength, messing around with the opponent, giving you some powers and stuff. It's a gamery game that's also silly and it's really nice and I love it. It looks amazing. It's for sure an eye candy and it's just so thrilling. You ready? 3, 2, 1, Spirit Island.
Oh, that old game. Dune Imperium. You said everything there is to say. I said some. Dune Imperium is a great hybrid game with worker placement and deck building and a lot of conflict. And I really, really like it.
Spirit Island is a cooperative game where each of you will play a spirit that try to protect...
On an island.
That try to protect their island. Because invaders are coming, people just polluting the earth, building their houses, destroying nature, which means that you won't have a home to live in. So you have to fight back. And you can fight back by 2 things. Number 1, destroying the invaders or just creating so much fear in them that they just leave before they destroy your presence. Best thing by far is the different spirits that you can play. Each of them wildly different. It will be a different game each time you play with a different creature. Few cards at the beginning of the game, but you slowly add new presence on the board that will help you fight against the monsters as well as get new cards and then new abilities. It's something that after you play the game, you have to get some fresh air. You have to just, all right, relax. I warned you, okay? It's tough, but it's great. Ready?
Okay, yes.
3, 2, 1. Terraforming Mars.
No, it says Terraforming list. So what was the list?
Because we were talking about the list while we're writing.
That's some kind of a weird game where you get a spreadsheet and you need to terraform it. Nemesis is essentially if you take Alien, the movie, and turn it into a board game. So we each wake up after hibernation. The ship is infested by aliens, as it usually does in space when you wake up after a long sleep. You have your own goal, but you don't know what the goals of other players are. Can you trust them? Of course you can't. And you're trying to survive and then hopefully fulfill your objective. And there's so many ways to die. Aliens can kill you, other players can mess with you, ship can blow up, you can get infected and then die at the very end. There are no events that tell you what happened, but they just tell fire starts there or an alien goes there. And
so there are no event cards that tell you what happened.
I know what I was saying. They don't have a story flavor. It just mechanically says this room blows up, and then you're like, oh right, because you were there recently, so you sabotaged it. Obviously, if you like space, if you like horror, if you like not trusting your friends that you thought you could trust, this is a game for you.
So Terraforming Mars is a Euro game where all of you are companies set out to terraform Mars. And the greatest thing in this game is the tableau. This fancy word means that you will play cards in front of you that will start your engine. For example, I can play a card that says, hey, each round you will get 2 steel. At the end of the game, your tableau will be full of different industries, animals and microbes and spaceships and things. And that's your own unique Mars. I love the feeling of you starting with almost nothing except just 40 million or something. It's like nothing.
It's cheap change.
Yeah, exactly. And then having this huge like civilization in front of you.
Yeah, in a way, right? It's kind of like Civ game, yeah.
3, 2, 1. Nemesis.
Oh wow.
One cool thing I can add, you can exchange the like monsters, the aliens, to different kinds, and that's also really exciting and gives replay value because the game is completely different.
Okay, mine's Runewars. Runewars started out as what if Twilight Imperium was a fantasy game?
And Twilight Imperium is a sci-fi game that takes your whole day away.
This takes only half of the day. It's 1 hour per player, roughly. In Runewars, each player plays an asymmetric race. We have undead, demons, elves, and humans. And each of them have different abilities, different units, and you're trying to control areas that have runes. The first one to control a certain amount of runes wins the game. And you obviously will be attacking each other, trying to take away those runes from each other, their different abilities.
3, 2, 1. War of the Ring.
Oh, you got to play it a lot. And if you look at our Playing to Insane video, you also will know why.
2 sides fighting each other, one the good side and one the bad. Bad side wants to destroy as many strongholds and gain military victory mostly. And then there's the free side that wants to destroy the ring. And the gameplay is quite simple. You roll a bunch of dice and these dice will tell you what actions are available to you. So you use one die and then do an action. Move an army, add new units, attack with those armies, stuff like that. So the rules sound super simple, yet it's very, very gamery. It's Lord of the Rings in a box. I love it.
Mine's Hegemony. Hegemony is a big economic Euro-ish game. Yeah. We all play different parts of a country. One player plays the government, and the other 3 play different classes. There's the working class, there's the capitalist class, and then there's the one in the middle. Everything's connected. The capitalist class is creating workplaces where the working class is working, getting wages. We all vote on different laws, and the basic mechanism is that we each have our own deck of cards where we will play cards from, and we can use the event that is on the card or use the card for an action.
My favorite thing about that game, nothing happens in this game without involving all other players. If you move some resources, if you vote for something, if you change something, it affects everyone. You're all the same country. You're all in this mess together. You just want to come out on the top.
We're all this big living organism that is in symbiosis with each other.
Ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Aeon Trespass. Aeon Trespass is a massive campaign game. And
say it again.
Massive.
Yes.
Game. And I'm not saying that word lightly. It really has 3 cycles. Each cycle is up to 100 hours of game time. There's also a huge story part similar to Oathsworn. It really made me feel things, hate things, love things, experience things. I love it. Then there's exploration phase where you get new resources that you can use to upgrade your ship, upgrade your characters, armory and stuff like that. And then there's fighting with these unique monsters. And a bit different than Oathsworn. Here in the story you have basically 4 monsters and you repeatedly fight against them. You learn how these monsters work, upgrade to fight them better, and it's lovely. It's super thematic, it's an experience in itself, it's a hobby in itself. Just yesterday I played Aeon Trespass again, and I don't remember last time I was this excited to get something on the table.
Okay, my number 2 is Twilight Struggle. Twilight Struggle is a historical area kind of war game where one player plays the USSR and the other player plays the USA. And you're vying for control of different regions like Middle East, Asia, Europe, and they will score you points at certain times. There's one deck of cards that we both draw from, and there are scoring cards. If I get one, I will have to play it this round, but I decide when that's going to happen. You get cards that have points on them and an event. I can either play the card for the event or I can play those points for actions. You use those actions to topple governments, go to space, like research your space program. So very thematic. I really like it. It's a 2-player game that takes around 3 hours to play.
Ready?
All right, let's go.
3, 2, 1. Hegemony. Hegemony still holds the first place in my top because of the things we already mentioned. Just the interaction, it's second to none. All the stories that you create from playing that game, it has great Euro game-ish base, right? The resources are there, building everything, but just the interaction is the cherry on top that makes it really brilliant and something that I look forward into playing a million times, please.
Well, mine's Here I Stand. That concludes the hat trick of GMT games on my top 10 list of all time. Here I Stand is a giant political war game where each player plays one of the countries or powers at the time of War of Reformation. And it's very asymmetric. A lot of powers do their own thing and a lot of them are connected. And it's a card-driven game, just like Twilight Struggle, where you play a card for the event or use the points. There's different ways you can win. You can either play out the whole game and then who has the most victory points wins. There are ways to get the automatic victory. There is a separate diplomacy phase where you go out to a separate room, make deals, come back smiling, just keep everyone guessing why, what. Ginormous effort to get that to the table. We'll see what you think, because you get to play it in 3 weeks.
Yeah, in 3 weeks I'm gonna play that game. Let's see how that goes.
I think I've overhyped it.
I mean, it's just the best game of all
is.
time. Thank you for watching this video. You are freaking awesome. What are your favorite games of all time? Let us know in the comments. Bye.
Like now. Now, right?
No.
They can't leave until they do that.
Yeah.